Merengue dream. I turn to the right, I turn to the left. I twirl a circle moon in my merengue dream. I tap to the front, I tap to the back. I shimmy with the stars in my merengue dream. I spin to the east, I spin to the west. I dance across the night in my merengue dream. I open my eyes, I tremble and slide. My knees start to buckle and my dreams subside. In the República Dominicana, music grows in our blood right from the cradle, and dancing bleeds it in bold colors, reds and purples, swirling everywhere. We wake up to merengue and go to sleep to sweet salsa. In between, we sway and sigh in the melancholy sounds of countryside bachata. In our neighborhood, wooden houses are set side by side in every color of the rainbow. Our radios are perched like blackbirds on our porches to warn passerby that someone is at home and to pick up your feet. At night, the merengue is loud enough to shake the stars right out of the sky. Here, no one loves to dance more than my papi. Merengue, bachata, salsa, all of these dances papi can do with such grace that watching him step and spin and glide across the porch makes you think that the music is floating from the air straight to his feet. Twice a month on Guardios Paydays, we have a small fiesta on our porch. Mommy makes a big pot of sancocho with juicy pieces of pork and chicken and lots of yuca and plátanos all stirred up in a nice stew. I sit on the floor peeling about 100 chinas, the sweetest oranges ever, to make orange juice. By the time I am finished, I am surrounded by a pyramid of orange peel that creeps around me in circles up to my neck. Papi sets up seats on the porch. Any chair or even a wooden board that could be balanced on 2 cement blocks would do. Papi sends Roberto down to the colmado to buy bottles of Brugal rum and cokes. Then Papi bathes in the river and comes back looking sparkling clean with a fresh shirt and pants and his dark curly hair slicked down so fine that you could see the comb's teeth mark in it. By the time the fiesta starts though, Papi's hair would be in curls all over his head again, each curl springing up separately, a rebellion of his primary African race over his Spanish bloodline. I loved and hated these fiestas. I loved them because everyone was happy and everyone called me mi amor, linda, and cariño for the rest of the day. It was as if God's angels were hovering low over the island. On fiesta days, people forgot their roofs that leaked rain and the jobs that were closing down and the tourists that didn't come this year and how much they missed husbands and brothers who worked hard in Nueva York and sent money home by Western Union. On fiesta days, there were no problemas. The reason I hated the fiestas was because I was the only person on this island who couldn't dance. Believe me, I tried. Sometimes I spun the wrong way, sometimes too fast, and almost fell. Sometimes I couldn't turn and find my partner who was looking for me in another direction. In my dreams, I could dance like a fairy, smooth and beautiful, with dresses that floated around my knees. But on our front porch, I was like a fish washed up on the sand. No matter how hard I flipped and flapped, I wasn't going anywhere. The worst part was that people would say, "But you can't be la hija of Señor Hernandez. He dances like the wind. What is wrong with you?" Instead of dancing, I would hide behind the wooden table, which teetered under the tremendous weight of Mami's sancocho, and our neighbors' pots full of arroz con pollo. I served food to everyone who stopped by. I poured glasses of juice. I changed cassettes in the radio. I held the babies on my lap and sang the songs to them. And I watched to see if I could learn the secret to dancing. I watched closely as Papi tucked a red hibiscus behind Mami's ear and whirled her around and around on the porch. Mami's feet flew in between Papi's legs, never seeming to touch the porch. They slid in, then out, then around, then to the left and to the right and around in twirls, flying across the porch, as if weaving starlight from musical dust. And Papi, he was a different person completely. He was no longer the loud voice in the porch chair. He was the angel of dance. He was the blue moon shimmering in the night sky. He was a laughing, handsome man, almost as handsome as Guardio. Everyone stared at him as if they couldn't believe that Señor Hernandez was human, and not a star that had fallen down and decided to have some fun before ascending back to the sky. He was everything that was a mystery and magic, and it was during these fiestas that I loved my papi so much that I could see what Mami saw, A dreamer, not a drinker, a dancer, not a drunk. Then came the night of the fiesta that Papi stopped in the middle of a song and looked right at me. He held out his hand like a prince. Come, muchacha, dance with your papi. I shook my head. My cheeks were hot with shame. The shame filled my body, making my bare toes tingle. Papi looked at me for a few more moments. I was probably the only person who had ever refused to dance with him. The next morning, Papi did not sit on his porch chair after breakfast. Instead, he dressed in a nice pair of pants and he said to me, Come, Ana Rosa, today you will learn how to dance. Papi, I don't like to dance, I mumbled as I washed the dishes. Papi snorted out loud. You hear that, God? He said, looking up at the galvanized roof of our house. She doesn't like to dance. Then he looked at me. Only fools don't love what God gives so freely. It was the first time that Papi had spoken to me like this. Usually he asked me to bring him a glass or some ice or a plate of food. Sometimes when he was happy and with 2 drinks in his belly, he laughed and pulled my ponytail as I walked by. But this morning he hadn't had any drinks yet, and he was looking mighty serious as Guario. Put on your shoes, Ana Rosa, Papi insisted. We are going to dance. At first, Papi put on a merengue, but he decided it was too fast. Then he put on other merengues, slower ones, snappier ones, funny ones. None of them worked. My hips switched when they should sway. My knees buckled in and out like a jerky puppets. We moved from the front porch to the side yard where no one could see us. Feel the music, Ana Rosa, said Papi. I don't know how, Papi, I wailed. It's not a tree or a flower. It's like trying to feel the sea. It keeps slipping away. Then listen to the words, Papi persisted. You love words. Listen and dance to them. It sounded like good advice, but for once I realized that words could not help me. I could not dance to words any easier than I could to the rhythm that seeped so secretly into everyone but me. All morning, Papi tried to teach me to dance, but the harder he tried, the more my feet tangled with his. It's no use, Papi, I said, almost in tears. Give up, Papi, said Angela, who was watching us from the kitchen window. Nunca, said Papi. She will learn. We just have to find a way for her to feel the music. Then Papi stopped just so in the middle of the yard, and I almost tripped and fell. What's the matter? I asked. Ana Rosa, whispered Papi. Do you even like music? The look on Papi's face would have made me laugh if I were not so miserable. See, Papi, see, I said. I love the music. Papi's shoulders relaxed, and he let out a big sigh. I almost think you're not Dominican, Cara, he said with a startling smile. I smiled back at him. Okay, let's take a break. I need to think about this, he said. Papi went back to the porch, and I went inside to help Mommy and Angela clean up the big mess from the fiesta. The next day, when I got home from school, Papi was waiting for me on the porch. But there were no bottles or glasses in his hand. And when he said hola to me, there was no smell of rum. ¿Qué pasa? I asked suspiciously. Change your clothes, Cara, and let's go. Where? I asked. You'll see. I went inside, and Mommy handed me some shorts, a shirt, and my slippers. What's going on, Mommy? I asked. Where's Papi taking me? Mommy only smiled and said, You'll see. As Papi and I set off down the dirt track, Mommy waved from the porch. Questions swirled around and around in my head, but I had learned that sometimes no matter how many questions you ask, a grown-up is not going to answer you. You'll see are code words for it's a surprise, and I don't know why they think that we want to be surprised all the time. Papi and I walked along the road until we got to Sosúa Beach. I love the beach, and this one was the most beautiful of all the beaches on our island. It is close to my home, and the sand is glorious white that burns your feet in the middle of a sunny day. The sea is blue and the water is so clear that you can see everything on the bottom, even when you are up to your neck in water. We're going to the beach, Papi? I asked. He smiled and nodded. You love the sea, right? He asked. Yes, Papi, I love the sea more than anything else. He nodded. That's what I thought. I didn't understand, but as soon as I saw the water and the waves, I felt happy, the way I always do. When I got to the edge of the water, Papi stopped and took off his shoes. Okay, cariño, we're going to feel the music of the sea. I took off my slippers too and waded into the water. No, we're going in, said Papi. Come here. I went over by Papi and looked at him in a puzzle. Listen to the sea, said Papi. Close your eyes and listen to the sea. I did what he said. It was easy because I do it all the time. I love all the sounds of the sea. It's like a special band playing music all on its own. Do you hear the music, Ana Rosa? Asked Papi. I nodded. That was no problem at all. I listened to the booming of the waves on the rocks, and I listened to the whisper of the waves that slipped up to the sand, and I listened to the swooshing of the wind gliding over the water. Then Papi took my hands in his. Now keep your eyes closed and let's dance, he said. At first I felt funny dancing with my Papi on the beach, but as I listened to the sea, I began to feel the music in my feet and in my heart and all around me. Papi, I'm dancing, I wanted to shout as he twirled me in the sand. My hands left him as I turned, and then my hands fell smoothly back into his. My toes slid in and out of the sand, left then right, then all around. I was a balloon finally free on its string. The music of the sea went on, and Papi and I danced until the sun slipped huge and orange onto the edge of the ocean. At the end of our dance, beach vendors who were packing up for the day stopped and clapped for us. Papi held out my hand and I bowed. I couldn't stop giggling as we walked back home. I can dance, I wanted to tell everyone as we passed. When we got home, Mommy was waiting on the porch with 2 glasses of lime juice. Papi winked at her. Mommy's face turned red and I laughed. Then Papi turned on the radio and held out his hand to me. We began to dance, and I slowly felt the merengue beat slipping into my Dominican bones just the way it was supposed to. Mommy sat on the porch and watched, tapping her foot to the music. Papi and I danced on as the circle moon filled the sky with light. At that moment, my Papi was everything I had always wanted him to be.